Happy New Year. I hope 2021 is a healthy and prosperous new year for you. As we start to think about the new year, a lot of us make resolutions, and the majority of those people have blown that resolution within the first 2 weeks of the year. And so, in an attempt to kind of try to add value to your world, kicking off the year in a good way, I'd like to suggest a New Year's resolution that you could make. And I'd like to suggest some ways that you might be able to keep it. You know, one of the mistakes that we make with resolutions is we think that it's just this big push, right? So if you join the gym in January, the first week of January, you're going to the gym every day of the week. And so that's not sustainable for most of us, is it? So what happens is then we've used that big shot of adrenaline and we're done. The way to continue to meet your resolution is to create momentum and create practices and strategies and efficiencies that keep that momentum moving forward. That's why that steps tracker is so valuable to people and is such a thing that continues to keep you moving, because you're seeing that progression, you're seeing that momentum, right? So for 2021, one of the resolutions that I would like you to consider is to be a more intentional relationship builder. I think your network is one of your most valuable assets, if not your most valuable asset. And yet few people have an intentional strategy about actually building relationships with the people in their network. You know, 10,000 LinkedIn followers might be great, but if you can't pick up the phone to call any of those people for advice or a recommendation or a referral, what good really is that 10,000 person LinkedIn following, right? So I want to give you 3 ideas about ways that I think you can intentionally and effectively build your network and build your relationships in 2021. The first one is give some thought as to who those people should be. Who are the most important people to your success in 2021? And some of them will be in your personal life. Some of them will be current customers. Some of them will be prospects. Some of them will be people that are in your industry, but don't do the same thing that you do, where you can refer business to each other. Some of them might be people that can be great mastermind partners for you and help you figure out how to grow your business. So identify for yourself who those people are. And I mean, write it down somewhere. My list happens to sit on the corner of my desk. We've got, you know, most of us know a lot of people, especially if you've been in business for a long time, you know a ton of people, but without a plan to stay connected to those folks, I think the majority of us do a really terrible job at staying connected and intentionally building relationships. So that's the first thing. Ask yourself, who are these people that are important to me? The second thing is have some rules around communication that are make relationship building more effective. You've heard me say, if you've seen any videos I've ever done, I love video conferencing. I'm thrilled with the fact that I can be face-to-face with people and I don't have to spend hours in Atlanta traffic to get in front of them. The majority of my conversations are on Zoom or on some other kind of video conferencing. You just can't get the nuance of communication over the phone, and for sure not in email. So I have the majority of my conversations on Zoom. In fact, it's what I recommend as a knee jerk to people who want to have a meeting with me, unless it's face-to-face. The other part of that is I have rules about when. I mean, there are some no-brainer times where we have to be face-to-face, even if it's video conference. A great example of that would be if I have to give somebody bad news or have a hard conversation. I'm not going to have a hard conversation with somebody over email, for sure. That's a great way to lose a client, by the way. But I really don't want to have a hard conversation over the phone either. And yet I think a lot of people want to hide behind the phone because it's hard to have that conversation face to face. I'm going to tell you, if you can get through a hard conversation with a customer face to face and have a good resolution at the end of it, you have solidified that relationship in a wonderful way, in a way that's going to be hard to break. So face to face, number one. Number two is I have rules about email. So for me, email is a horrible relationship building tool. I'm very careful to not do that. But what I have is this kind of 3 email rule. And most people that know me know that if we've gone back and forth 3 times on email and we haven't resolved whatever it is that we're talking about, even if it's just making a calendar appointment, you're going to hear from me on the phone, because now we're just wasting each other's time. So I want to connect with you personally, and whatever that is that we're working through, I want to do it personally and on the phone. The third thing is I create visual cues about relationship building in my life. I'll give you an example. One of the things that I do is my calendar is color coded. Anything that is involving a human being. So a meeting is one color, a Zoom call is another color, a phone call is another color. Why do I do that? Well, in my job, I have several responsibilities, right? The main one is managing, mentoring, and coaching people in our organization, building culture in our organization. Can't do that without engaging with people, right? From an external standpoint, a lot of times I'm the face of our organization to our clients. I want to make sure that I'm spending enough time face to face with our clients and prospects, understanding how we're doing in terms of servicing them, understanding how their needs are changing, making sure that I'm developing strategies in our business that address those changes. And so for my role, being with people is a critical part of my job. It's critical to the success of our business. I want to make sure when I look at my calendar for the week that I am spending enough time with people. And then secondly, I have to ask the question, are they the right people, right? But first off, I want to make sure that the right proportion of my time is face-to-face with people. So I create cues for myself to do that. One of the other things is when I keep that list of most important people, I look for ways to stay connected to them on a fairly regular basis. So when I see a podcast, when I see a video, when I read an article on LinkedIn, or I read a book that I think might be valuable to somebody on my list, I finish that article, I finish that book, I go look at the list, I ask myself, who else on this list might get value from this? And I send it to them with a little note. Saw this, thought about you, here's why, hope it's valuable to you. One of the ways to build your network effectively is to continually give in to the network. Too many people leverage their network as a group of people who can do things for them. I like to think about it as a bank. I have to constantly deposit into that bank so that at the point when I want to withdraw from the bank with by getting advice, by getting a recommendation, by getting a referral, I have paid into that bank enough that it's really easy for one of those people to want to say yes to my request. So one of the reasons I've got those most important people on my desk isn't because of what they can do for me. It's that those are the people that I want to make sure that I am consistently giving back to them, contributing to the bank of that relationship with them, so that at the time when I might someday need to make a withdrawal, they're not just willing to do it, they're happy to do it. So I think relationship building, if you're going to focus on one thing in business this year that could really exponentially contribute to your success, it's going to be being a great relationship builder. I would love to see in the comments below, what are the things that you do? What are the processes that you have in place, or the strategies that you have in place to make yourself a great relationship builder? I look forward to staying connected with you in 2021.